platform, or you put that one ether bounty. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you felt compelled to put a bounty on that?
Okay, the bounty I put was part of the social ledger effort. Okay, it wasn't specifically having to do with robot, but there's a few of us who are part of the Digital Life Collective, and there's been interest in and well, I've been working on prototyping social ledger contracts on Rchain, and just like you have a financial ledger, social ledger is really everything you say and do, and it sort of exists independently of any piece of software. But the software supports creating a skeleton of all the social objects and interactions that you do. Where we support that has been with slash commands on the Mattermost chat server, slash date command. And we just had Valentine just did a nice little article on using the slash date command to add different kinds of social objects to channels, which allow the organization and self-organization of teams and projects. The portal is currently being actively developed for the Digital Life Collective, which few of us are members of, and I'm on the board of. And this basically provides us a frame around all of our activities, so that we have different things here that could be channels, they could be any kind of thing. Like if we look at a calendar, for example, you can see that it takes us to a website page that embeds the calendar. If we choose on collective chat here, it takes us into Mattermost, into the channel in Mattermost. And something is waiting for us here. And,
can you pull down channels there on the left in the pancake menu?
Yeah, for some reason it's waiting. I don't know what's going on. Let me go back home. And there's various visualizations. I don't know. It looks like it looks like I got a problem with my machine. I got too much open here. Let me.
It's probably Zoom eats up so much of your resources that it's hard for your computer to do anything else.
I'm going to. I think, yeah, close all those tabs. And just go back to the portal. Yeah, I was getting slow response there because my machine was pretty dead. But now our own version. Okay, right now it's setting things up. So it just logged me in. I gave a note, remembered my name here, and I have all these channels here, which are all. It could go to GitHub. It could go to Mattermost. It could go to Discord. It could go anywhere. But it puts an umbrella around all the things we use. It has skill set and expertise, which it can map, as well as interests. We can show the holomic chart of the organization, and this shows major domains of the organization. The color shows how recently it's been active. The white areas are active very recently. The dark areas are not. We can see a list of who's involved in the conversations. You can see knowledge management. There's a lot of activity there, some of it recent, some of it not. The collective chat, of course, is probably the most active thing. We can look in the operations. We see system administration as being active. And let's see. We can go into our documents here. We can see all the joint documents we're working on. We're getting away from GitHub, although we can link to GitHub stuff here. But these are all documents stored under Cloudron, self-hosted services. And let me see if I can get into Mattermost here, collective chat. And I can see I get in here. And I find, if I look under the channel purpose here, I can see that it has a JSON definition, domain, hub, icon, online, chat, and the link to where it goes to, tags. Okay, and this is a simple definition of a service. And by defining the service in this manner, it appears on the menu. So anybody who's a channel who can edit the properties of a channel can help organize the material under here. Now, so this is main domain here. We have project domain, operations domain, and the friends domain. And each of these has its own menu of services. In any case, it's lets us organize all the tools we use into a framework where we can keep them all organized. We can see the things that are green. These are things that I'm a member of. I'm not a member of this group. Okay, if I click on this, it'll tell me about the service. I can look at the team members. And I could request access. And that access request gets entered into the administrator's channel where they can address the person and see if they want to add the person or whatever. Or if it's public, it could just be joined. I don't know if that was a very good job of presenting it, but
Looked pretty good.
it's, you know, it gives us the framework for tying together all of our social interactions. Okay, and then when we take an action in one of the activities, that becomes part of the social ledger that we control ultimately how and if that's exposed outside. You know, from outside the team and outside the organization, whatever. Okay. Let's see, we had on here some so I think we covered the topics that were listed here. I guess the only thing on the social ledger portal is we want to get that hooked to the Rchain Mattermost instance and Discord. We want to get the start collecting the things there and ultimately get that tied to back end on Rchain. Right now, it's using a Firebase back end, which can be considered a cache of what's on Rchain. And we can replace that with any other kind of back end.
Yes, and I'd just like to add that your coverage of Dig Life was very good, but you need to tie it to the social ledger. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't frame it like that. But what I want to say is, Dig Life is the builders of the social ledger. And even though it would be nice if everybody could join Dig Life, I just don't anticipate that happening. It is a very good group. Jim is one of the directors of. I'm also a co-founder of. It's great. It's a great. I learn a lot there. I've most of the tools that I use now I discovered there. But notwithstanding, they are the group that has built the social ledger, and so Rchain, if we move towards the social ledger, we will be developing closer relationships with Dig Life.
Right, and if you notice here on the home page, there's Rchain.
Yeah, many of the members of Dig Life are Rchain supporters and members and enthusiasts and so on and so forth. I'd like to get that thing taken off of the web page though. But anyway.
They're working on a new website. I guess this was your icon. This is actually you, Gary, right?
That's right. That was my icon in the very early days when I first found out about the social ledger and was over there playing with it. So it got pulled into the system, and at that time we didn't even have the tools to edit things like that. So it got stuck there, and now it's memorialized forever until we can get that screen changed.
Right. Okay. So any other topics? Any more comments or questions on the topics that we've covered? Yeah. I could. Uh, I could give a little report on what's been happening in the collab. We updated the collab doc, and I guess we're trying to figure how we can, or how we can enable cooperation among ourselves and among Rchain and other organizations. Social ledger is a big part of that. But the aim is to self-organize into autonomous teams that set their own rules and distribute rewards among themselves as they see. Cooperative effort is slow to emerge and often dissolves. In collab, we have the freedom to evolve successful cooperation strategies so that we accomplish something of value together rather than separate activities having limited value. You know, that's good or not. It is our typical work structure, UIOP, bring your own project, nailing first, whether you're starting out or admit something that you can't figure out on your own, or you're experienced and simply want another set of eyes on your work. This is the place for you. The document otherwise is fairly out of date with respect to the teams that are active. Right now, there aren't many teams that are active. Probably the social ledger. I mean, this chart is way out of date. Valentine has been very active in the social ledger. Well, it is name there, but most of these people have not been active lately.
Yeah, and that's another topic we might discuss here in the in this particular gathering is you know, where is everybody going, and you know, we know it's because the bounties started, you know, drying up, but we should reflect on that and think about, you know, the implications of you know, what motivates people to come here, and how we might do that a little bit better.
Yep, that's the idea. So this we did a lot of work on trying to getting the ledger working. Some issues with Nginx and building a production version of the Webpack. We have it running now in development mode. with some issues there. I think I need Yoki to help with that. And I'm not sure about the Nginx issues. Okay, we've been working with Robert on doing visualizations. In this case, we took data from DigLife for the last year and a half that we're going to visualize the connections. He's just learning SQL. And I had posted a 1/8 bet bounty, which I closed now for building the portal. Been working on the voting contracts a lot and robot improvements. Paid out rewards for November, December, and what we did was we allocated a fixed amount of our external funds, 10,000 ROC, and we budgeted projects, tasks, and then we put the percentage of time people spent on it, and then they got a percentage of the total reward based on what they had. Like, Ojamato here got had $120 worth of effort, for which we got 649 rocks. So we're not paying full value on things. And January rewards, we're just getting started. We'll be arranging those, probably starting with customizing the topics to things that we're actually doing this month. Oops. So any questions about the collab? I'll just with your collab report.
One other thing I have been thinking about, and maybe this is the place to suggest it, I feel like we're coming to a point where people are going to have to start getting a better understanding of ladle. And I feel like that, you know, even a lot of the pros or the devs may be struggling with this at the intuitive level. So to make a long story short, I you know, why don't we have a channel for ladle? And, you know, do we need one? Maybe we should discuss this. Maybe in a discussion of whether or not we need the channel, we can sort of bring up some of the reasons why ladle is important.
Yeah.
I would say that to the extent that ladle is real or conceived of as real, or people know what it's going to be like, that would be great. Ladle is an important initiative.
Oh, excuse me. like, I think we have a general problem of we get these channels and then they're inactive, and there's too many of them. I think the general rule that we try to that we have sort of in our processes laid out is that if somebody facilitates the channel, we create it. So someone would need to take the responsibility to facilitate the channel, and hopefully arrange a work study, whether it's once a week or once a month or even once a year, where folks get together and
Gary, I'm not sure how much work there is going on in Ladle or how much thought. I mean, you've identified it as an interesting thing, but is there anything actually happening?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I think that if you look at some notes by Joshi in the channel within the last day or two, he talked about developing an interpreter independent of Rchain, or he said independent of the co-op, because, and his point was, Rchain doesn't have a type system yet, and I think that's the point I'm wanting to make, but he's making it as a dev, and I don't think the point he's making is really understood at an intuitive level by the community.
Gary, what's the difference between a Ladle and behavioral types?
Nothing. In my mind, as far as I'm concerned, nothing. But this is what I would like to see in these discussions. What's going on with this Ladle? In the back of my mind, I seem to remember Greg saying we don't expect that until I don't know, Venus or something like that. But it is related to problems we're having even now in the deployment of this robot. And I may be overreacting, but I think we're at a point where we need to start learning about Ladle.
Well, I agree 100%. If there's material on it, if there's actual development on it, so that would be kind of the key driver. And when you speak about Venus, we're almost in a Venus timeframe because Mercury is going to ship sometime. I mean, be it 2 months or 6 months. I mean,
maybe it's even after that when we expect Ladle.
Sure, but it's not too early to start talking about what it is and what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think Greg has actually addressed the what it is and the what it's supposed to do, but he comes at this at such a abstract level that I think it would be an effort just to go back through his discussions that were made in relation to it and try to assimilate them or provide links to those discussions, and that might be a good thing for someone to do. Just come up with all of the links to Greg talking about Ladle, and we could put that in a social ledger channel, and we'll just put up all the links as far as we know, and as people discover points of importance concerning Ladle, they can provide social ledger objects or links in the pull down. Okay, that's about all I can say about it right now. But I think that gives me something to go on with it. Hopefully, anybody else that wants to know more about this can can join in. Alan, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good. And everyone else, good to see you.
Well, Gary, it got dark there all of a sudden.
It got dark? What do you mean?
It looks like the sun is not shining where you are. Out in the back behind you. Oh,
Oh, yeah, well, that's China Hutch back there. But, yeah, this is my lake house. And
oh,
now that you've asked, I'll tell you what, when I wake up at 2 in the morning, I don't know if you can see it, but often I see bass fishermen drifting by.
how cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my front porch. So I don't know why I did that. Okay, I'm out. I'll see everybody later. Oh, and this is something to bring up in Greg's talks. If some of you could volunteer to monitor the YouTube live feed text-based channel. I personally don't like to attend Greg's talks because if I do, I will blurt out something and I'll take up valuable time. But I often think of questions that I wouldn't mind others to kind of look at and see if they feel they're justified. So we need some people monitoring that live feed YouTube text channel that are also in Greg's Zoom.
All right. Anything? Any parting thoughts? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? So we'll see you all at the debrief. Have a good day.
Jim, thank you.